Welcome to the Air Power Airwaves, the Air Power Manufacturing Solutions podcast series where we talk about manufacturing issues that impact you. Hey, this is Travis Steerwalt, and welcome to another episode of Air Power Airwaves. Today we're going to talk about Cleco, and I got two very important people here that are going to go down that rabbit hole with me. So first of all, Josh, this is Josh Ference with Cleco. How long have you been with Cleco?
Going on 6 years now. Yeah, it'll be my seventh next year.
Man, you're going to hit 10 years before too long.
That's right.
That's right, man. All right, we're going to talk about you a little bit more later. And then I got Matt Tuttle with Air Power.
Yes, sir.
And you are one of our newest application engineers, I believe.
I am. I've been with Air Power for about 3 months.
Okay. Now, you have history in this world, though, right?
I do.
The tooling world.
I do.
Okay, so you are an application engineer. And where are you based?
I'm in Frederick, Maryland.
So you're up in the northern section.
Mid-Atlantic.
The Zenmar territory.
Correct. Yep.
Okay. All right. We're going to talk a lot today. We got a lot of things we're going to go down. I want to open up this by saying we've got a lot of podcasts that we've filmed over the years. We're going into our fifth year of doing podcasts in 2025. So in all of that time, we've probably produced, Jai, what would you say? About 12 a year, so 50, 60 podcasts under our belt right now. And if you want to listen to any of those podcasts or you want to see any of those podcasts, because we film every one of them, you can go to airpowerairwaves.com or you can go to the Air Power website, which is airpower-usa.com. And on the Air Power website, we've got resources page, brands page, all things. You can go in there and actually see links to every one of our videos, training videos, podcast videos. And so we invite you to do that. Also, just for reference, on the brands page, we're going to be talking a lot about Cleco today, obviously because they're here. And we want to. But inside the brands page, you will see a Cleco logo, and if you click on that, that is actually the Cleco page within Air Power space on the interwebs. So without further ado, we're going to talk about something that came up recently, and I think it was Kyle Crawford with Air Power who brought it to our attention, was the new Cleco Whitepaper. I'm actually going to pull the white paper up on my computer here real quick. That white paper talks about, that's kind of funny, I didn't see that, Cleco, tame the line.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we know that manufacturing can get wonky.
That's right, yeah. That's our goal now, tame it.
That's right, tame it. But the title of this white paper, and I'm going to stop right there before I say that. Just know that if you go to the Cleco brands page on the Air Power website, this document that we're talking to is a very professionally done white paper and a study, is going to be available on a link there. I think you got to go through a link and then fill out just your company information or your information to be able to download that. So that will be available on the Cleco website. The Cleco brands page on the Air Power website. So the title of this is The High Cost of Trade Tools in Assembly Manufacturing. And then right underneath it, it says Exploring Functional Joint Tightening and the Importance of Proper Tool Selection. So today, we'll be kind of going down a rabbit hole on things that go wrong on a manufacturing line and what the real cost of ownership is for that.
Yeah.
And you'll be kind of surprised and a bit staggered to see the actual impact of improper choice of tooling or improper use of tools on the manufacturing line. So I want to dig into the white paper. Thank you guys for joining me. Josh, you want to kind of take it for a minute and kind of give us an overview of some of those numbers on that original white paper?
Yeah, sure. So really, the basis of that white paper, as you kind of mentioned, was the cost, the true cost, trying to uncover trades tools that are finding their way into the assembly line, and actually kind kind of taking over some of the roles. It might be a more cost-effective tool, kind of the top line as you're purchasing it. But over time, what we dug into is finding numbers that, over time your quality goes down with that tool. You're replacing it more often, rather than using something a little bit more expensive. But it's going to save you money over the long run, both in quality of the tool and quality of the products that you're assembling and producing.
Yep. I do want to go over some of these numbers here in the introduction. That's like a $260,000 per hour cost. Some people of unplanned downtime. So for those of you watching that may not know what that means, it's basically like let's use a huge automotive manufacturing account. Just we're going to leave it nameless, any of them. And though they have contracts with suppliers for product or tools or whatever it is, and an unexpected downtime would be basically like the paint is not working, or the robots are not working. There's a root cause of that downtime, and if they can finger point who the root cause of that downtime is, there are penalties incurred. Mm-hmm. Without saying the names of companies, can you guys think of some of those dollar figures per hour that have been leveled, from a manufacturer to a vendor? I'm not saying for you guys specifically in your past, but I've heard numbers.
I have.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely. I mean, it's always.
Let's share some of those.
I mean,
One was 40,000 an hour.
$40,000 an hour.
yeah, very similar. I mean, 20,000 is kind of what I've heard before at a I guess smaller to medium-sized manufacturer. So, and as you scale up, of course, those numbers.
Yep.
Go
I've heard
up
much higher than
drastically.
those. I mean,
Yeah.
I've heard the 100,000 per hour.
They escalate quickly.
Because you got to look at it. If you had a car manufacturer that the average car that rolls off the line is $60,000, and they're kicking out a car every how many minutes?
Oh gosh,
3 to
it's-
5.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Some are hiring
So
6.
you think about the amount of revenue lost.
Yep.
Is very impactful. You're just literally watching money burn. So if the manufacturer can pinpoint whose fault that is, that's one way of looking at it. If they can pinpoint a fault on a vendor, they're going to assess those charges to the vendor. Now, the other side of that is where this comes into consideration, this study, is the improper use or improper selection of tools for the job. Now, I've not been in your world with the Cleco tools and the types of work that they do, and what they're used for, whether it's critical or non-critical. Let's talk about a little bit, what are the causes of those downtime in manufacturing when it relates to tooling?
Yeah, so, oh man, I mean, just about anything can go wrong on the line. I think as you spend time on the line and working with customers, you see a little bit of everything. But I'd say, some of the big ones that stand out, one being tool goes down. You pull the trigger, it doesn't run, it is not functioning properly. That's immediately you got to call somebody, a supervisor, to come bring you a new tool, come fix a tool, whatever it is, and that's valuable time, right? Past that, it's how that tool is actually performing. So, we have various levels of kind of smarts and accuracy built into our tools. Using a tool without that, you basically put your assembly line at risk for over tightening. You break a bolt. Now you got to go through a rework process, under tightening, and that can go all the way into, if that product goes out the door and now you have a warranty claim on the back end, that's definitely fits into those figures. So, a lot of different variables there,
And you may not have a downtime at that point if you've prepared and you have enough of those tools in your crib to be able to cycle in and out for
Correct.
Repairs.
Spares are key because things can and go wrong.
Oh, they definitely go wrong.
No matter how
No
much
wrong.
you plan either.
Murphy will live in some facilities sometimes.
Is there a, I mean, I know this varies from manufacturer to manufacturer, but is there a rule of thumb, like how many spares you should have in place for specific types of tooling?
I at least have to have at least one. If let's say you've got 10 tools, they're all the same functionality, you need to at least have one, maybe two. It depends on how your operators treat their tooling. Some operators are rough with the tools, some operators are not. Do you have your tools hung on a balancer, or are they susceptible to be dropped?
Yep.
I know that I've put in tools that have been hung on balancers that have had zero maintenance work
Yeah.
orders put in.
We're
None.
we're really hard on on tools and
We are.
paint guns and all kinds of
Absolutely. Yep. Yep.
things. Nothing's more destructive than a human being.
That's right. And always finding new ways to either drop it, break it, whatever it is. Things happen, and you can't plan for that kind of stuff.
Kind of like
so
the mole in the china shop,
yeah, right. And we say the same thing. At least kind of one per tool, having a backup that's ready to rock in the back.
And I guess another thing that would impact that is the amount of time it takes for that tool to be serviced. Like, and if you know that the tool has let's call it a 6-week cycle, by the time you get it back to the manufacturer picks it up and they repair it, whether they have a loaner program or whatever, you got to factor all that in, because the last thing you want to do is be down an operator without the fastening device.
Right.
So, all right, we had gotten together early on and went over these about the causes of downtime in manufacturing, and I want to touch on these to make sure we cover. But these were what we decided were, as a group, were the most common issues. Cross-thread issues. Mm-hmm. That would be improperly seating a nut onto a bolt, right?
Right. Yep.
Okay. Over torque can actually damage the actual. It could take something. This is why it's so important to have certain types of tooling that have the meter on it that shows you exactly what the torque is.
Right.
Because you can over torque to the point where it puts so much stress on whatever you're fastening, that it can either break what it's fastening to or compromise the bolt. And
Right, yeah, the overall quality. I mean, that bolt that should hold its entire lifetime might fail in 6 months now because of the stress that has been put on those threads. Yeah, so, and I think a good point that we had talked about the last time was, you're at risk of, maybe it's not the bolt itself, but the quality of that part. So, putting an impression on the paint that's been put on there, or scratching the surface, or denting that in some way, just by using a tool that is providing too much torque that's not going to shut off properly.
Yep. All right. Operator safety versus damaged part.
Yeah, I mean, operator safety, I think, is always at the forefront of any ME's mind, is keeping who's doing that job safe. We do what we can to implement technology in our tools and our products that has a direct focus on the safety of operators, whether it be the U-Guard or different programs to take reaction off of the operator. When you're fastening thousands of bolts a day and you're doing nothing but one job repeatedly for 8 hours, a lot of different stresses that when you run it one or two times develop over that time that you don't really think about at the beginning.
Yeah, that's especially key in high torque applications.
Yeah, I forget if it was something we were talking about in prepping for this podcast, but the certain types of torquing that are so powerful that people have actually lost limbs when something goes awry.
Yeah, and that's unfortunately, I've heard many stories about that. And it's not only just those like really high torque applications, but these are for the most part direct drive tools, which means that motor is going to keep going as long as the trigger is pulled until it tells it to shut off, right? So anything within that way that gets stuck, is at risk of getting wrapped up in there. So that's why things like, a lot of manufacturers do not allow gloves on the assembly line because
Okay.
it could get caught in that. Long hair and jewelry and stuff like that has to be taken off. So they do take those kind of preventative measures. But it's constant to try to make sure that that doesn't happen.
Stuff.
Right.
Yep. Programming of the tool plays a factor in it as
Yeah.
well.
Okay.
So when you reach a certain torque level, you want to shift down and go a lot slower. You don't want to run right into the bolt.
Makes total sense. And you can see there's 3 different tools up here. They're 3 very different tools. And this goes into the next thing that I wanted to say, the safety critical versus quality critical versus functional. Who wants to take that one?
I'll start
the
the
difference.
The functional, the clutch tool, I need a pass fail. Okay, Mr. Customer, what's your torque value? I don't have one. I just need it to be tight. Perfect. Clutch tool is your way to go. I believe it's the cell core that is the quality critical.
Right. Yep.
So you need it's the integrity of the fastener. The cell tech is the safety critical. That's the high end. The CMK is, I believe it's 1.67.
Yep.
Plus minus 10% on those.
Okay.
So you've got a situation where it's a good, better, best type of scenario.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's really, different manufacturers call it different things. Maybe it's class A, B, C fasteners. We like to say functional, quality, safety. And always kind of wrap it back to like an automobile, and we do a lot in automotive manufacturing. So functional, maybe just a drip pan or something, a fender that all it needs to do is be held on that car.
Okay.
Then you get into stuff like quality falls off. You might be stuck on the side of the road, but everything past that is all right. And then safety critical stuff, seat to floor, steering wheel things that if it fails, it's life or limb.
Yep. So if you're putting together a piece of furniture that people aren't going to be sitting on or standing on or whatever, that's basic. But if you're putting together, like you said, a seatbelt in a car, the torque has to be exactly perfect.
We want to make sure that is exact every single
Everything
time.
is manufactured for that exact tension.
Right.
All right, the last 2 things on the causes of downtime in manufacturing, which I found interesting on one of these, was lack of resources. What does that mean, lack of resources?
So lack of resources in terms of budget.
Okay.
There's a misunderstanding in how much something would cost. Sometimes I've had customers that they'll describe a system. You'll ask, well, what's your budget? And they'll give you a lower number. Well, Mr. Customer, that's a 6-figure project that you guys want. They don't know how they get those numbers. They
just pull it.
Right. They just pull it.
Yep.
And
because that's what they thought it might cost.
Correct. So there's also personnel. You may not have enough people to fully implement a project, because you can go down a rabbit hole on a lot of these projects. I mean, cradle to grave on these with traceability.
Which is the next thing that we were talking. The next thing I was going to say was lack of planning. There wasn't really a vision. It was just, we need to do this.
Yep, I've got an application here. I need to fix it.
We got $50,000, and you're like, well, that's going to be 125 to even start this conversation for this particular product line.
Yep. So you can try and piecemeal it together, do different phases, but sometimes customers won't have an end goal. Yep. They just know that I've got a problem, I need it fixed now because I want to go on to my next problem.
Okay.
So they don't have a true direction in where they're headed.
Okay.
Which is absolutely, one of the benefits as, Cleco and Air Power walk into a customer to be able to explain to them the return on investment in this system and saving money down the line by improving your process and buying into technology that has the traceability and support and data control and, all these different things that over time really provide a benefit. And you're going to have that system for many years to come rather than doing it call it cost-effective way that's going to fail, and you're going to have to do it what we're pitching down the line anyway to save that application, basically, right?
A lot they get hung up on the budget, and they don't really understand what is that tool going to save you. What's the ROI going to be for that tool?
Right.
They can't get past the upfront cost.
Yep. And I think in all segments of industry, what's the word I want to use for it? It's when you don't have the vision to see what it's going to be down the road, and you live in the now.
Short-sighted.
Short-sighted, and then you always pay for it later.
You do.
That's right.
Whether you do it now or then,
Yep.
it's going to either cost more money up front or cost you a lot more money on the backside.
Yep.
So, and pick an industry, any industry, it's pretty much going to be,
It's common across the board.
Right.
whether you're manufacturing cement or or processing rock for said cement, or finishing, Ferraris with robots. All right, so we talked about the white paper, and again, go to the Air Power website, go to brands, go to the Cleco brands page, click on that logo, and you'll see a download link there that you can actually go fill out a tiny form, and you'll be able to download that directly from Cleco. And we've kind of talked about a couple of those things. So I know we talked about it just briefly when we were talking about safety critical, but let's go through the 3 tool lines, and I want you guys to just give our audience a real quick overview of cell clutch, cell core, and cell tech.
Yeah.
And by the way, I am going to invite you back for another podcast, or
Great.
probably for a training video.
Yeah.
And we'll go through these very
Fantastic.
detailed again. I think we did that maybe 3 years ago, maybe even 4.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a good video. But we've got our new studio now. We've got much better lighting. I think it would be fantastic.
Yeah, let's do it. And we've got some new products here as well that we want
Perfect. We
to
can bring them all
show
on
off,
board.
right? So start to finish here, we got at the beginning cell clutch. So we just recently launched the cordless clutch tool. So that is a mechanical based clutch tool. These two are transducerized. That is a mechanical clutch tool, which means that torque is being provided by mechanical clutch inside. There's still some smarts on it, okay, not okay. You can program speed and different stages into it. We also offer it in a connected version, which means you can connect it to one of our controllers. Now you're reporting that okay, not okay data.
Okay.
So there's some connectivity and smarts on the back end of that, but at the end of the day, mechanical clutch tool.
So you just said something that I didn't know. So you can take this tool and offer it to a customer, and you're in the field with our account managers. You identify an account, and this tool fits the parameters for the job. Okay, but beyond it, this isn't just an off-the-shelf turn it on and go. You guys can actually dial that in.
Yeah.
For a specific application, so that every time they use it, it's the same
Yes.
result every time.
Yep, exactly.
That's important to know.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean that torque is always driven by that clutch. It's the background that we can change, right? Speeds. If I need to go in 360 degrees, back out, 180, then come in for a final tightening, you can build those stages into the tool. So
Fantastic. Okay.
there's a lot of stuff in the software that you can get pretty involved with, and you start looking at getting into now a cell core. Cell core is a transducerized tool, which means you get a digital output of torque, angle, every time you pull the trigger. So cell core can be programmed in standalone mode or connected mode. So it's Wi-Fi, Bluetooth to our controllers, or you can program up to 10 applications directly on the tool. Still collecting data on the tool when you're running that standalone mode. And basically just gives you some more accuracy and flexibility over a clutch tool.
So for those watching right now, why would you want to collect data from the cell core?
Yeah, I think a lot of it comes back to those kind of warranty claims like I referenced before. All the manufacturers want to have a good understanding of every time that product comes off the line, I want to know that exactly what torque was applied to each one of these bolts. engineers spend a lot of time dialing in those torque specs when they're building a product. So needs to be built to that spec, and they want to make sure of that. So if our target's 10 newton meters and all of a sudden I'm throwing up 15, I need to know that immediately something is wrong. What happened? Was it a cross thread? Maybe I missed a washer in there or something. There's a lot of different things that need to be alerted to in collecting that data.
Okay.
You're tracking your CPK, whether you're in control or out of control, so you'll know that you see a pattern in your data that you're trending upward. Okay, I'm getting out of tolerance. What's going on with my tool? And then you can swap that out. You have live data that you can look at.
Okay.
And make a change on the fly, which is another important issue of having a spare.
Yep.
So everything comes full circle.
So if one of those tools was to start, like the newton meters was changing, that could probably send an alert to whoever is over that, whether it be maintenance or whoever's over that sector,
Right.
and to be able to dial in on exactly which gun out of, let's say they have 14 of them on the line,
Yep.
which gun is throwing, something.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it'll tell you
They
exactly
can get
which
it out,
tool.
get it out immediately versus causing those long-term
Right.
nightmares.
Yeah, and I'd say when those errors are thrown out, definitely sometimes it's the tool. Sometimes it could be, man, we just ordered a new batch of fasteners from a different company this time, right? We changed out hardware, and it's throwing all kinds of errors all of a sudden. So it's really good to alert to digging into that root cause analysis of why something has changed. Why is this happening now?
All right, so Cell Tech, the last one.
Yep, Cell Tech is our highest level, just in terms of accuracy and flexibility. So with the Cell Tech, kind of similar to the Cell Core, you can run it in that standalone mode. You can connect it to a controller, which we see most often with these tools is connecting it via Wi-Fi or Bluetooth. Cell Tech also has the ability to add accessories on it. So if you need a barcode scanner, a gyroscope, something to add to your assembly line to basically, as we talk about data collection, just improve that, get the most data you possibly can. Having a barcode scanner on that tool allows you to scan a VIN number on the car coming down the line, and now everything about that process is tracked back to that tool, that operator, that car. So they have really, really good.
So if that Cell Tech, I'm familiar with the bar scanning in the manufacturing line. If that was set up with, could it be set up with multiple different torques in the same gun that when they scan, and they know once they scan it, it sets itself up because they know it's going to be hitting this bolt or this.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, that's
Next one comes down, scan it, and it alters.
it changes it on the fly. I mean, that is all integrated into our controller system.
Where do they actually put the scanner at?
So the scanner goes right where the end of the angle head meets there. You can see just a little orange cover right in front of the O on Cleco. That plastic cover just comes off, and the accessories will attach right in there.
That's cool.
That would be very helpful.
That goes back to error-proofing your system, because 26% of downtime is caused by human error. So if you have a side
Or
train-
more.
Right.
or more, yeah, or more. That's what they told you.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's if you're expecting somebody to even just pick up the right tool, you can label it all you want. But if you're asking them now to scan a barcode and the controller does everything for them in their MES system, then you're really taking a lot of the operator out of it. And as you go up the line here in our tools, it really is that. It's process improvement, control, and doing what you can to take the operator out of the equation.
Speaking of operators, operator training is a big deal. We spent some time putting our outline together for operator training, and we've got 4 things: unskilled labor versus skilled labor, and the impact on the line, the impact on the product quality. Again, I know the finishing side very well, and I know where I can dial in there, but you guys go down that rabbit hole a little bit on the unskilled versus skilled labor and how that impacts.
Yeah, just I think a good way to do that is just kind of looping it back to the white paper, right? Trades tools that really don't have any kind of there's no shut off to them. There's no programmability. It is, here's a tool. I mean, we've all used impact drivers and screwdrivers in our own personal DIY kind of settings, but they're finding their way into a manufacturing line where, a day one operator, where you hand them that tool, you are really relying on them to be able to properly torque that bolt. And your 15-year vet that's right down the line, he can say, well, yeah, you got to hold it for 3.5 seconds. I know because I've done it every day in the last, but that new operator is going to have a much different experience. That's where quality issues like breaking bolts and cross-threading and stuff like that come into play. And so when you hand them a tool like, even a clutch tool into our transducerized level stuff, you're able to hand an operator day one a tool, ask them to do a task, and really the tool is doing the job for them. They are purely, making sure that piece is set, and then, applying the rundown onto the next part.
Yep. And when we talk about, in that world, getting proper training, I know for a fact that guys like Matt that work for Air Power that are application engineers, part of your deal is providing some of that in the
training,
field.
correct.
If we go in for a Cleco or whoever else, whatever it is, and this goes for all facets of our business, not just tools, but Air Power is part of that training arm. We sell, there's a follow through, and there's training that comes along with that, where we make sure we may not be training everybody in the plant, but we're training the key people that are going to disseminate that information and that training
Correct.
to their organization.
And that's an important part of this, because I've been using and implementing these systems for a little over 8 years. And not only are we're teaching you the controller side of things, but we're also teaching you how to use the tool, how to hold the tool, and what to look for in if a tool is something's going wrong. Timmy may have dropped it.
Yep.
30 minutes ago. So having that awareness of, this is what my tool sounds like, this is how it should be reacting, to know that, okay, I need to stop if I've got an issue.
Yep.
Yeah, very important from a technical side. There's your operators themselves who might be new and coming in, but the people responsible for purchasing, implementing, and controlling the equipment that has been purchased over the years is extremely important as well. So training across the board on how to manage these tools, how to set them up, how to program,
setting up safety protocols.
Sure. Yeah.
That all goes together. The last thing that we're going to cover before we close out is there was some things that we talked about that can enhance enhance these tools to make them more. I don't know if the word safety, but safer for the part itself. There's sleeves, protective tool covers, and free spinning covers. So I know we've got two things up here, and if you guys want to reach up and grab the two, that's.
Yeah. So this,
So hold it up so where everybody can see it and what they are.
not only from he touched on, this is a Apex U-Guard socket. So, Apex Bits and Sockets is a premium, one of the most trusted brands in manufacturing of bits and sockets. The U-Guard product is a free spinning cover over top that provides protection to both your part and your operator. So kind of originally designed for anti-mar, anti-scratch. If you're coming up against a part or vehicle, you don't want to ding that up. You just put some really nice paint job on it, and you're putting on your final pieces. Nobody wants to scratch that, and that goes right back and rework. That's an expensive oopsie. On the operator safety side, because they're free spinning, while that tool is running, if you were to grab onto it, the socket inside is still spinning, but outside you can hold on to it. So we sell gap covers in between that. So from the output of this tool all the way down to the end of this socket is completely covered from getting, again, like we mentioned, hair, jewelry, fingers,
And that's
gloves,
the protective
caught
tool
in.
cover that you refer to.
Yep.
And is the sleeve Is this the sleeve?
Yeah,
Okay.
right. Yeah, so we also have covers for our tools. Of course, anything metal we cover, so that entire angle head there.
If
We
it
do have
gets
screen
dropped or
covers.
if it brushes up against,
Right.
a car's,
Yeah.
finish,
Yep,
it's not going to mar anything.
that's right. Yep.
Okay. Well, guys, I think we did great today. This is we hit about our target time, and I really appreciate going down this rabbit hole with Cleco.
Be here.
Josh,
Travis.
thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you all for having me.
I
This is great to come
know
on.
we scheduled to shoot this a little earlier in the morning, but life happens, and you get the customer call, and
Right.
it's all good, man.
Constantly changing, man.
You got to keep making it happen.
Yeah, very happy
So-
to be here. And again, thanks for having me. It's,
No
good to
problem.
talk
Remember
about this
this brands page for Cleco on the Air Power website, airpower-usa.com, and you will have a link under the Cleco brands page that you can download this white paper. It's very interesting, a lot of knowledge drop in that, and it's not short either. It's a pretty substantial.
Yeah, we
research.
put a lot of work into it, a lot of research. Between us and our years of experience, we used a third party to help us out and digging in. Customer testimonials and interviewing direct end users. So a lot of work and a lot of really good information there.
So we can honestly say, if you want to save $260,000 per hour, use Cleco.
Great pitch.
According to the white paper, which is actually truly legit. So, all right, if you have any questions, either one of these guys or for Air Power, call 1-800-334-1001. Again, our website, airpower-usa.com. All things Air Power Airwaves, airpower-airwaves.com. And I'm going to wrap this up like I always do by saying, manufacture it a great day.
Thank you for joining the Air Power Airwaves podcast. Air Power Airwaves is a production of Air Power Inc. and Air Power Live Studios and is hosted by Travis Steyerwalt. For more information, please visit airpowerairwaves.com. For more information on all of our products, brands, and manufacturing solutions, please visit airpower-usa.com. If you have any questions or need product support, please contact Air Power at 1-800-334-1001.